And most have their fair share of bumps in the road and twists and turns. And one local individual was dealt a tough hand from the age of 4 when her mom was diagnosed with cancer. Although the road has been anything but easy, she's turned her grief to good with a truly amazing story. I'm excited to welcome Sarah Jane German here with us to share a bit about her story. Sarah, I'm glad to have you here. So tell me a little bit about your story.
So when I was 4, my mom was diagnosed with adenoid cystic carcinoma. It's a very rare and terminal cancer, and that meant that the treatments that she went through weren't to cure anything, it was to extend life and increase comfort. And I grew up, obviously, when I was younger, it wasn't more than just, okay, mom's in the hospital again. But kind of figuring out life, I realized this is serious. And I had a pretty interesting childhood in the sense of I grew up knowing, I didn't know how long my mom was going to live, but I knew it wasn't going to be for long. So that really changed my perspective on life completely. So right after she turned 50, and 3 days after my 12th birthday, she passed away. And she had a huge support system behind her. And, I got to see that support system rally behind her and rally behind my family and just build us up and keep us going. And that turned such a hard time into almost a positive, where I got to have an amazing community, build me up, and I got to see the people that were there for me. So about 9 months later, I wanted to, bring that sense of community and support out into the world. And I went to Instagram, and I just wanted to find, is there a support account for ACC? And there wasn't. So I started one, and it just kind of started growing from there. It started as just an Instagram, and people started reaching out to me until COVID lockdown.
Yeah.
When I had too much time on my hands, I started just messing around with building a website, and all of a sudden it was I can do this. I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know what it's going to turn into, but let's just see what happens. And next thing you know, I had a website launched, I had products for sale, and I had the mission of donating to research foundations for ACC. And as important as that is, I started to realize there are a lot of organizations out there doing that, and there needs to be something else. And I realized that what that something else needs to be is treatment, not a cure. Because we were very fortunate. So growing up, when my mom was going through treatment, we were financially stable in any treatment she needed, and like clinicals and 2 rounds of chemo, we were able to just provide. But it wasn't, there was no doubt, it wasn't concern as to when are we getting the next treatment, is this going to happen? My mom lived 8 years with stage 4, and that doesn't typically happen.
Yeah.
I started talking to other people that reached out to me, and I'm realizing, that's not common. People getting treatment immediately and people having that security. So I kind of shifted gears with my nonprofit Cure ACC to become somewhere that people can apply to grants to get that treatment, because I realized that not everyone's as lucky as my family was.
But you've been there. You've
Yes.
seen what that process looks like, what that experience is like, how hard it is. So to be able to have the peace of mind that, hey, at least I know we're going to have another treatment. But how old are you now? You have your own nonprofit.
17.
17. Okay. Incredible. Let's walk back through memory lane a little bit. Tell me about the relationship that you had with your mom, knowing that you kind of were on a timer.
Yeah. So I just, for some reason, there are certain times in my life that I can always remember, and it was talking to my friends. And little kids just like, oh, God, I hate my mom. She took away something of mine.
Yeah.
And there were so many of those moments at school when they're like, I don't know why my mom doesn't like me, or I can't stand my mom, and I just couldn't understand that. And I would be like, no, it's good, your mom is good, And I never understood why I thought that way and why no one else did. And I don't know, I think I was like 10 or so when I started to realize, like, okay, there is a pretty solid time limit. And, that just, I always had that in the back of my mind. And thankfully I wasn't dwelling on it, but it kept me looking at the positive. And I mean, my mom was beyond positive, just happiest
Yeah.
person ever. So that was very helpful in all ways. She never really said anything bad about her cancer. All smiles, all happy times. And so we got to fight that we got to fight that together with positivity. And that's just kind of shaped who I am today, thankfully.
Absolutely, and I think that is a very effective way to fight, looking at the positives and using that as your momentum forward. What was your family dynamic like during that time, knowing that you grew up knowing the halls of a hospital probably better than a playground, because that was where you guys spent a lot of time, but how did that affect your home life, your kitchen table, things like that?
Well, the cafeteria in Carl is really good food. I learned that.
You would know.
I like to joke, I'm like, blindfold me and put me in Carl Hospital, and I can find my way around.
Wow.
Which is a little bit morbid. However, I grew up like that. I was 4. I don't remember before my mom got cancer. I do remember my mom telling me that her tumor looked like a lobster. That's might be one of my earliest memories. Okay.
Yeah.
But that was just who she was. Let's make jokes out of things. Let's be positive. And she was such a core part of the family, and she's the reason we were able to stay positive, and she kept us going. And because of that, after she passed away, we were able to keep going, being able to look back on her and saying, okay, what would she do? She wouldn't just be sitting here, sad about things. She'd be doing what I'm doing now. She'd be, fighting for something and finding a purpose and doing everything in her power to get that out into the world.
So when you were 10 years old, knowing that your mom's life was on a timer, would you have ever anticipated that here you are today with your own nonprofit fighting for the people who were in your guys' very shoes?
No, actually. I remember 4th or 5th grade, I was talking to my neighbor, and we were the same age, and she just said, like, how about you do like a 5K or something around here? Like, do some kind of event and raise awareness. And I was like, God, no. I told her, I was like, maybe in 20 years when I'm an adult, but I have no interest in doing that whatsoever. And I'm here.
Yeah. Obviously something was stirring
Yes.
in you to do something, because you know the pain, but you also know what's good throughout it all. And that
Yes.
stability of having treatments is so important. Talk me through what it was like when you knew your mom was in her final days. What was going through your head in that, and what kept you going after it happened?
So it was both sudden and predicted at the same time. So obviously cancer, there's a time limit. The last 7 months of her life just went downhill very quickly. So it took me and the entire family off guard for the first month or two. But once realization started to kind of sink in, we got a hospital bed for the living room, and she actually got to see all of her best friends that she either were still in Alabama or moved away. They all managed to see her within the last 6 months, which is amazing. But I wouldn't say we got closer, because we were very close growing up. But the dynamic changed almost a little bit, almost like more mature, where I got to see my mom as like a person. And, we hung out and we watched a lot of Father Brown. That's a really good show, by the way.
Is it?
That's but we couldn't go out and do the little kid, go to a playground and run around anymore. So we got a lot more of those sit down and let's talk, conversations. And it was great in a kind of morbid way, but we got to know each other in a different way, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
Not thankful for why I'm doing what I am, but I got to see another side of her right before she passed away, which I can again just carry out into the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And you do that, that's for sure. Now, I truly can't think of a harder age to lose a parent. The age of 12, I cannot imagine a more difficult time to lose someone of such influence. What got you to keep putting your feet on the floor? What were you holding on to as your strength and your hope to keep going?
My mom, still. So I have said this a million times, but she was just so strong and positive throughout all of it that just stays, And I know, so my paternal grandmother was actually with us at that time. She was staying and helping out. And so that was really nice. It was my father, my grandma, and me in the house, and my neighbors that I grew up like their second daughter. So I was with them a lot, and the school I was with then was small and very, everyone knew everyone. So I got to have a full support system, a whole school behind me that just kept me going, and they did everything in their power to get me in a good place.
Yeah. And to this day, you're clearly carrying your mom's name on very, very well. Let's talk a little bit more about your nonprofit. At what point did this get started?
I'm coming up on 5 years of building this brand.
Oh my gosh.
Which is insane. So Instagram account started early 2018.
Okay.
However,
and she passed in 2017.
June 27th, yep.
Okay.
So like 8-9 months afterwards. But it didn't really get serious until, I'm going to say, like 2020. And that's kind of when I started looking for more to do than just spreading some awareness on Instagram. And it started as I had a logo and the name Cure ACC. It started as an Instagram hashtag. And I started looking into, can I trademark it, can I copyright it, get some protection over that. And it kind of started snowballing into a not-for-profit. And again, so mission changed a few times until it is what it is now. And I'm very happy with what it is now.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping we can keep it here and just keep building on what it is.
So what's your vision for it?
It's going to be a not-profit that people can apply for grants to get treatment for, to extend their life, because like I said, we were fortunate. I got to have my mom for 8 years with cancer, and stage 4, that doesn't happen. So I have a whole list of landmarks and goals that I want to get to for Cure ACC, but my personal vision for this is, I want this to be an organization that gives at least one, little girl 8 years with their mom, because that doesn't happen usually with that cancer.
So you're thinking of all those little
Yes.
Sarahs out there of when they were 4 years old and they were finding themselves in the hospital hallways. You're giving them those 8 years. So how can people help you expand this, develop into your vision, and help those little Sarahs as well as those moms make it farther than 8 years even?
So I saw a lot of my mom's close friends that loved her and cared about her, but they were in those awkward my friend's suffering, but I don't know what to do. So I partnered with small businesses around the world to put together a chemo care package. And it has, a chemo beanie for hair loss. And the coolest thing, in my opinion, and the moment I saw this, I reached out to the one making it. I was like, we need a partner. Is they have a button on each side that you can wrap the mask loop around.
That is smart.
To take some pressure off the ears and hopefully avoid some of the migraines that you'll get. some essential oil, and any other, like products that, like a fluffy socks, a
Yeah.
stuffed animal, just a little pick me up. So that is available on the website in the store. Along with, I can do custom made shirts because I found that's a great way to honor someone that you lost and bring awareness to either this cancer or anything else that you need people to know about. And if you find yourself as one of those patients and you need or want one of these packages, but you just can't afford it, or you need one of these resources, you can go to the donate page on my website, and if you click on the right link, you'll be able to sign up for one of the sponsorship programs. And if you are someone who wants to be a sponsor and wants to donate, you can sign up for a monthly donation where your funds go directly to providing one of the packages to someone who signed up. And I was talking to my mom's cousin. I grew up with her as my aunt. And the reason I call her my aunt is they always said they were just like sisters. And my aunt, Pammy, she was my mom's biggest support. And so the program, I named it Just Like Sisters. And if you want to find your Beverly, sign up to be one of the sponsors. And if you need to find your Pammy, sign up and receive those packages that you need.
I love that. And Beverly, as in your mom. For
Yes,
anyone who
sorry.
may not know.
Yes.
No, you're good. For someone who may not know your mom was like a ray of sunshine.
Yes.
She was, in fact, like the whole sun.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about your mom. Like her story, where she's from, all that stuff.
So, first off, one quick little thing that I can say that can kind of capture is we had a possum living under our porch at one point named Fluffy that she just loved. She just, we had extra chicken, I'd go out and, feed the possum.
Oh my gosh.
Loved animals, loved anything living. So she was born in Sylacauga, Alabama, and she just, I talked to her friends from childhood, and they all say the same thing. I remember, I think the favorite thing I've heard was someone said her eyes danced. Just growing up, just this happy, filled with hope and love.
Yeah.
And I didn't know her, but the things I hear about her, I mean, they line up exactly with who I knew. And so very proud Auburn graduate, very proud, would do anything for Auburn. My father and I left the house on Saturday game days because she
Oh my God.
loved Auburn so much. So she would want me to say that.
Yes,
For the TV.
absolutely.
She would want people to know that. Just so, but she, she was diagnosed. We know that, but she, she kept.
Yeah.
There's like there's
You
no
could go
words
on and
for
on
it.
about about your mom, a parent, absolutely. And speaking of Auburn, tell me about your future plans.
So I'm going to Auburn next year. So I'm senior this year. So graduating, going to Auburn for business management, and hopefully just building on the skills that I've learned and continuing to grow CureACC and making my mom proud, mainly by going to Auburn.
I'm sure she'd
Yes.
be very, very proud. And those are some wonderful plans, lots
Yes.
to look forward to. You have a very, very bright future. Really quickly, what do you think, if your mom could tell you one thing today, what do you think she would say to you? And if you could say one thing to your mom, what would you say to
It's
her?
gonna make me cry.
Take a deep breath. I'm going to make you cry.
One thing she'd say to me. There's a lot.
Yeah.
I hope she'd say I'm proud. I'm gonna cry.
I can confirm that. She would most definitely say
Gonna
that. You're good. You're good.
That's actually a really good question. What would she say? War Eagle.
What would you say to her?
Thank you.
You know, I bet through every season of your life, you're going to have different things that you think maybe she'd say to you and you'd say to her. And I believe you can still say those things to each other, and someday it'll be face to face, and we can look forward to that until that day. You are a testament to turning grief into good. You are incredible. You've done amazing things, and I think this is only the beginning for you. And I think the lives that you will impact because of what you're doing, of how you've turned something so hard into something so impactful, is inspiring, but you're going to impact all those little Sarahs and give them 8 years and beyond because of the work that you're doing. We can connect people to your website in order for them to support the work that you're doing to help get those care packages out to those who need it. Finding the like sisters, whether you need that Beverly, or that Aunt Pam or whoever it may be. So we'll connect people to your website so that they can start donating or just connecting with ways that they can support you and help expand this mission. But thank you so much for who you are and all you're doing to impact little Sarahs everywhere.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Okay.